Right, my family and I vacationed in Arizona, and while we were there, we did an escape room. Now, if you don't know what an escape room is, it's a place you go to get locked in a room. And in order to escape, you have to find clues, solve puzzles, unlock doors, and then escape. But you have to do all of it in just 1 hour. It's a lot like voluntary kidnapping, but more fun. Our escape room was called Escape from Alcatraz, and it simulated a daring escape from that particular prison. One of our clues was a poem written by a prisoner that ended with the phrase, "Always remember to clean the drain." We saw that there was a sink in the back of the cell, and as soon as we rushed over and pulled the drain out, the entire wall swung open to reveal a dark corridor behind the jail cell, with pipes all over the walls and clues spread around the room. Escape rooms are one of the funnest things you can possibly do, especially with a large family like mine, because all 8 of us usually can't do the same thing at the same time. But an escape room allows us to all work together on the same puzzle. Escape rooms are particularly interesting because the thing that makes it fun is the competition. But it's not necessarily competition with each other. Rather, you're competing against the timer. The minute you walk into the escape room and that timer starts counting down, you get really, really focused. If that timer hadn't been going tick, tock, then there's no way it would have been as fun. The point is, we make different choices when we see that our time is counting down. Some of these are bad choices, like when I shoved my brother aside because I felt like he was going too slow, but others are good choices. Like we all learned that in order to escape from Alcatraz, our time must be managed, optimized, and not wasted. A lesson not just for escape rooms, but for all of life. The fact is, all of us have a time clock on our lives. We're all going to die. Time is ultimately finite. It is the most scarce and valuable resource that you have available to you. Time is also a different kind of resource, because it's one of the only things that you spend, but can never earn. You can't flip your life's hourglass, because it's glued to the table. In a way, time is almost like toilet paper. And not because toilet paper is scarce, but because once you use it, it's gone. And there are many psychologists who appreciate time for what it is and teach us how to steward this precious resource. One of them is Canadian psychologist Jordan Peterson, who also teaches at Harvard. Their teaching can be summed up in 3 components. First, time must be managed. Second, it must be optimized. And third, never should it be wasted. Now, Jordan Peterson teaches his students that if they want to better manage their time, they should assign it a monetary value. Essentially, evaluate what your time is worth and then treat it like it's worth that amount. For example, I have a job where I tutor students in math and English, and I charge $17 an hour. When I do this, I put a value on my time of $17, and I'm back in the escape room, where I'm constantly aware of the value of my time. This means that when I sleep in that extra hour, I have an opportunity cost of $17, because I'm essentially paying $17 for every hour that I am doing something when I could be tutoring. Thinking about time in this way has had a profound impact on my life, especially when it comes to playing video games. I thought to myself, well, if I'm playing, or whenever I play video games for a couple hours a night, if I'm paying around $30, I don't want to do that. That's not a good life choice. And so over a year ago, I decided that I wouldn't play video games by myself anymore, and this has really benefited my life. All I did was I thought to myself, if I had walked into an arcade and had to pay $17 for every hour while I'm there, I would not be proud of that expenditure. I did this because psychologists say that our time should be managed, optimized, and not wasted. Let's look at Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon and the richest man in the world. If Jeff Bezos evaluated his time in the same way that I evaluated mine in order to get $17 an hour, then if he dropped a $100 bill on the ground, it would literally not be worth his time to pick it up, because he makes about $3,100 every single second, according to a Time article. Jeff Bezos blows my $17 an hour out of the water. And yet, according to CNBC, Jeff Bezos never has a breakfast meeting. Instead, he eats breakfast with his kids before they go to school. His earliest meeting is never before 10 a.m. He even said in an interview, quote, "I do the dishes every night," end quote. How does that make any sense? Jeff Bezos' time is worth so much money. Why would he do the dishes? Why wouldn't he just pay someone? When I first heard this fact about Jeff Bezos, I thought that he must be an anomaly. I mean, he doesn't follow the rule. The rule is that time should be managed, optimized, and not wasted. That's what psychologists say. So let's look at someone else. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in the world, but Bill Gates holds the number 2 spot on the Forbes list of richest people. Jeff Bezos may be able to bill out $100,000 an hour, but Bill Gates can only bill out $98,000 an hour. I mean, he's practically poor. He might be able to hire him for a sitter. But Bill Gates also said in an interview, quote, "I do the dishes every night," unquote. Jeff Bezos isn't the exception, he's the rule. That doesn't make any sense to me. How are Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates managing, optimizing, and not wasting their time by doing the dishes? It seems like they're doing the exact opposite. Their behavior is economically foolish. But isn't it the habit of the master and creator of time to use the foolish things to shame the wise? The world, in its collective wisdom, defines time as a resource. In many ways, this seems right. And following the rule that time should be managed, optimized, and not wasted could lead to worldly success. Our culture considers time a resource to be maximized, but I believe that God considers it a gift to be enjoyed. Ecclesiastes 2 reveals the subconscious reason why Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates find it so important to do the dishes. Solomon, like Bezos and Gates, enjoyed a life that was completely unconstrained, and he used that ability. Ecclesiastes 2 tells us that he tested his heart. He said, quote, "I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself." Solomon used his wisdom as a means to get pleasure that you and I can only dream of. And so he decided to test how much pleasure his heart could take. He became the richest king to ever live. But he said that this was vanity. He planted vineyards, he built houses, but this also was vanity. He bought male and female slaves, vanity. He gathered gold and silver and other treasures, vanity. He got concubines and singers, but all of these things were vanity. Solomon has all the wealth that Bezos and Gates have, and he can do everything that they can. But what was the result? Solomon continues, "So I hated life, because what was done under the sun was grievous to me, for all is vanity and is striving after wind." Solomon tried to find meaning in pleasure, and it didn't work out. Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates could live a life of endless partying, but they aren't. They're doing the dishes. This is because they came to understand what Solomon realized at the end of his experiment. At the end of chapter 2, Solomon tells us that there is a meaning to life, but it's not in pleasure. Quote, "There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find joy in his toil." Just as God created this earth and then filled it with animals, so also does he give us time and then fill it with toil. The 2 multi-billionaires who do dishes likely aren't Christians. I can't say that they've read Ecclesiastes 2. But they ended up agreeing with Solomon that there is a satisfying joy in the toil of doing dishes. Our culture tells us that if we want success, our time must be managed, optimized, and not wasted. But God says that this success is vanity. It's a striving after wind. God wants us to be focused on Him, the giver. And so He gives us time as a gift to be enjoyed, not as a gauntlet to run. The reason why the escape room was so fun is because we were never truly prisoners. We wanted to escape from Alcatraz, but ultimately, our freedom was guaranteed. It had been paid beforehand, online and with a Groupon. At the end of the day, I must remember what I learned in Sunday school, that man's chief end is not to maximize my productivity, but to love my God and enjoy